Hello, hello. Oh my goodness, 9 o'clock. Here we are, Wednesday night. Goodness, welcome. I hope that I am live. All right. All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. All right. Assuming this is live. Yeah, 24 seconds live. Here I am. All right. Hi, Yvonne. All right. Welcome this evening, y'all, to Food Addiction, Fair and Firm. FAIR stands for Food Addiction is Real. FIRM stands for Freedom is Recovering Mindfully. I want to thank you for spending your time with me here on Facebook Live for this conversation about food addiction. My name is Connie Stapleton, and I am not only a psychologist, but a recovering human being myself, recovering from a number of addictions, primarily alcohol and pain medication, 28 years. Extremely grateful for the process of being healing from recovery and being in recovery from addiction, healing from addiction. That's what this is all about, healing from food addiction. So I want to let you know that I have had ongoing contact with the people from intherooms.com, where they have meetings for recovery from addictions of all sorts. We are hopefully going to be able to get a regular meeting going for anybody who is struggling with food addiction. If you've been with us from the very beginning, then you know that food addiction is about knowing that food or your weight is problematic. It's caused problems for you. It may be physical problems related to your health. It may be problems related to how you It may be problems in terms of your willingness to be in public because of your weight, whatever. If food is causing problems in your life, you know it's what's causing the problems, and yet you're unable to stop eating certain foods, or if certain foods trigger you to want more, then it's likely you're a food addict. There is hope, there is help, there is healing from food addiction, and that's what this program is all about. We want to help you find ways to heal from your addiction. Hopefully today on Facebook you saw the handout that's available on my website with all kinds of tips to help with the absolute most basic step in the healing from addiction, which is abstinence. In order to really heal from addiction, you have to be abstinent from whatever your addictive substance or behavior is. So in this case, it may be a particular food, or it may be food groups. For a lot of people struggling with food addiction, the substances that cause them the most problems are sugar, added sugar, refined sugar, and processed foods, anything made with white flour, starchy foods, because starchy foods process in the body and metabolize very similarly to sugar. So there may be categories of foods or specific foods that you need to remain abstinent from. But abstinence is the very first step in the healing process. So the tips page that I put on Facebook and a link to my website where you can download this, print it out, share it with your friends, take it to anybody you know who you think struggles with food addiction. If you've had weight loss surgery, or if you're in a support group for weight loss of any sort, share this with them. These tips are specific for how to resist cravings, how to refrain from that first bite. You know, it's not the 12 cookies that are the problem, it's the first bite, right? It's not the whole cake that's a problem, it's that first bite, because without that first bite, you probably wouldn't eat the whole cake. So to refrain from those first bites, then use these tips. Then we can move on to the deeper levels of healing from addictions and recovering from food addiction. I want to thank my good friend, Yvonne McCarthy, Bariatric Girl. She has agreed to moderate the chat while this Facebook Live session is going, and she has also agreed to monitor the Food Addiction Firm and Fair group online. Also, if you're not in that group and you would like to be, just let us know. You can email me, you can post on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, all the social media. And Yvonne, Bariatric Girl, has a ton of experience with food addiction, both personally and as a recovering person herself. She has had weight loss surgery. Many of you know her already. And she and I together will moderate in the groups. So she has a lot of experience, and she'll be willing to share that with you as we go along. So tonight, what I want to talk about are the 4 ACEs that I mentioned last week. The 4 ACEs are a system that I use to kind of simplify a lot of the recovery process. And we're going to use those 4 ACEs, and I want to show you how to use those in your life on a daily basis. Remember that recovering, healing from an addiction is not about willpower. It is about skill power. We mentioned that word several weeks ago, and it was a word that meant a lot to a lot of people. So you have to develop a lot of skills and put those skills to use for you to get free from the absolute bondage that is addiction. It narrows the scope of your life, so you're not living fully. You're not living a full life and enjoying all the things that life offers. You're stuck in the world of food and weight and calories and grams and etc., etc., etc. Not that you don't need to be mindful of those things, because you probably always will. But life is about a lot more than that. And if you're stuck in the confines of that, 12 out of the 24 hours of your day, 8 of which you're sleeping, you're not living fully. You're not doing the things that bring you joy in life. All right, so again, the 4 ACEs stand for 4 words that start with A. The first being awareness, because nothing changes without one's being aware of them. The next A word is acceptance. You have to come to accept that something is a reality, or is a problem, or is a solution, or whatever it is. Acceptance is critical in the healing process. Attitude is the third A word. Attitude is critical, because if you're going to have a lousy attitude, it's not very likely that you're going to be willing to follow through with all the work, and I do mean it's work at times, that's required until this way of life, the recovery way of life, the healing way of life, is second nature to you. So your attitude is important. You know, you can get stuck in the why bother, it'll never change mentality. That's not going to help you. At least having the attitude of, oh, geez, this is hard. It's so much harder than I ever anticipated, but I'm going to keep on fighting. That's a winning attitude, all right? And then accountability, because we have to be willing to be accountable, meaning taking responsibility. Taking responsibility not only for the ways you let yourself down or fail, which is a word I don't like, or engage in a behavior that isn't the healthiest for you, but also to take accountability for the ways you did well today, the ways you did follow through, the ways you did improve your attitude when it started slipping, the ways you did accept this is a reality, the ways you did put forth effort. So the 4 A's are awareness, acceptance, attitude, and accountability. Next is C. ACES is ACES. So the C stands for commitment. A commitment you may have to make 10 times a day or more. I commit to doing this. I commit to My meaningful matters, something we talked about many weeks ago. Meaningful matters are the things you say are important to you. And if you're saying that your health, your weight, having a full life is important to you, then that commitment might have to be made several times that day, just to remind yourself. And then the E in ACES is for effort. All of this takes effort, a tremendous amount of effort, consistent effort, effort with a positive attitude. Even if you have a lousy attitude for the day, it takes effort to work through the lousy attitude, right? All right, we're going to talk about the essentials for healing from an addiction and living a healthy life in recovery from an addiction. So we're going to talk about those essentials. We're going to apply the 4 ACEs just to give you an example of how this is done. All right, so the first part of any healthy recovery program or healing from an addiction is abstinence, and we've talked about this on and on and on. We've spoken many times about Dr. Vera Tarman and her book Food Junkies. Excellent book. And Vera Tarman says abstinence absolutely. And the reason it's so critical that we have abstinence from whatever the substance or behaviors are that we get stuck in our addictions is we can't think clearly. We can't make healthy decisions if we're in the throes of our addiction. If sugar has a hold of our brain, or if shopping has a hold of our brain, or if we're impaired through alcohol or drugs, or the high associated with internet gambling or pornography, or whatever your thing or things are. I call these feeling fiends. All of our addictive behaviors, all of our substances that try to get us to quit feeling. Feeling fiends. They're fiends. They take those feelings away from us. That's what we want. But the reality is our feelings are our friends. They teach us what we need, our healthy needs. They'll tell us what our healthy needs are, and then we can find healthy ways to get them met. But when we're engaging in feeling fiends or our unhealthy addictive substances or behaviors, then we're not in touch with our feelings, and we can't decide what we actually need. So these are the things we have to be abstinent from. So let's apply the 4 ACEs to the topic of abstinence. So for you, if sugar, general category, sugar, processed flour, processed wheat, processed foods are your triggers, which means when you eat those, your brain gets cloudy and you want more and more and more and more of those substances. And it doesn't mean you want to have a binge in that moment, but it means all of a sudden it's like, you're kind of picking up more and more of those kinds of foods. They're not, your healthy eating plan is not free from those foods. So abstinence in terms of food addiction likely means being abstinent from any added sugar, white sugar, processed sugar, or even the raw sugar in the raw. Abstinent from adding any sugar to your food, and abstinent from foods made out of white flour or wheat flour, because that's been so processed today that it's hardly any different than white flour. So how do you remain abstinent from those things? How can we apply the 4 ACEs? Well, first of all, you have to be aware. You have to be aware of what your trigger foods are. You may have just one trigger food. Let's say your only trigger food in the world, and this would be very rare, okay, but let's just use it as an example, are Oreo cookies. All right, that's a big one for a lot of people. I know it's a trigger food, right? So you have to be aware. And you have to be aware of any of your trigger foods. So it's a good idea for you to make a literal list of foods that trigger you to want unhealthy foods or more of the categories of sugar foods or refined foods or starchy foods. You may have a list that says all added sugar, all foods made out of flour, all refined foods. Whatever your list, you have to be aware of what triggers you. All right, if you're really honest, you'll also add any other problematic behaviors or feeling fiends. Like if your credit cards get you in trouble, then maybe you want to add credit cards to your list of awarenesses of things that you need to remain abstinent from. And then you have to accept it. This is tough, right? And it can be very tough if you say, I have to accept that never again in my life can I have added sugar, or any foods where sugar is added, like cake or candy bars or whatever it is. Maybe you can accept that just for today, I'm making the choice. It's not like, oh my God, I can't. I'm making a choice. It's a much better attitude too, right? I'm taking the decision. I'm accountable. I am choosing, right? So there's all those A words in ACEs. Accepting that just for today, or maybe just for this hour, or maybe just for this minute, if that's where you're at in the moment. Awareness that these foods I choose no longer to eat. Acceptance that just for today or just for this hour, I'm going to say I choose not to. My attitude. Here's a biggie, right? I can be the little train that could, little engine that could, or I could be the why bother even trying train, right? Sometimes we need to accept, now there's that A word again in ACEs, that I need to get help. I need to ask people to help me with my attitude because it's kind of stinking at the moment. If that's the case, then you put forth effort to reach out and get help for your attitude. All right, so we're going to focus on abstinence. Connie, focus. All right, so awareness of what I have to abstain from. Acceptance that for today or this hour, I'm going to choose to abstain from those. My attitude better be one of, I think I can. At least I'm going to put some effort into it, okay? Accountability. That means if I say this is what I want, then I'm accountable for doing what I said. And maybe I need to ask a friend to help me with that. Like, I said I wasn't going to eat this today. Can you remind me that I said I was not going to eat this today? Or can you talk to me on the phone because I'm passing by my favorite, drive-through restaurant. Just talk to me on the phone until I get past it. So I'm accountable to get whatever help I need to get through whatever my difficult moments are. All right, those are the 4 A's. Now the C, commitment. Here comes that restaurant. I committed to myself that just for today, I made the commitment. I think I can. I'm really having a hard time. I'm accountable for this. I'm going to call my friend. However that process works for you, right? The commitment. Remind myself of the commitment. It takes effort. If you're struggling to use the skills from within, then you're accountable for getting help elsewhere, right? You have to put forth the effort to call a friend. You have to put forth the effort to stop along the side of the road, breathe through the anxiety or the stress until you resume some semblance of, I think I can. All right, I'm going to do this, right? And then the S in ACEs is because yourself matters. The whole thing, the whole process of healing from addictions is getting back to having a healthy relationship with self. When we have a healthy relationship with ourself, it's much less likely that we're going to act out in ways that harm ourselves. So, if I want to have a healthy relationship with myself, then I follow through, I put forth the effort to get through the difficult moments, to put forth the effort to abstain, because when I abstain from the foods that trigger me, from the foods that re-engage me in addictive thinking and addictive behavior, when I abstain, I can say, look what I did today. I am very proud of myself for my effort, for my attitude. Oh, okay, my attitude stunk a little bit, but guess what? It didn't stop me. I was accountable. I made effort to reach out to people who could help me. I made effort to slow down so that I could make a healthy choice. Because when we react, when we don't take time to go, take a breath, count to 10. When we react, we don't often think that clearly, right? If we take a pause, we have better decision-making skills. We're able to think more clearly. Sometimes that's why we keep ourselves all revved up in a whole world of chaos and not thinking clearly, because we don't want to. We want to keep ourselves in a bunch of chaos because then we don't think clearly or make healthy decisions, and it becomes an excuse not to do what we say we want to do. A minute of breathing, 30 seconds of just slow breathing will slow our minds down enough that we can make better decisions, so we can be more accountable. All right, so abstinence, got to do it. That's how you apply the 4 ACEs to abstinence. Now, the basics of any healing from addiction program, the basics of any recovery from any addiction programs are meetings, attending meetings, meaning I got to have some place where I can be around other people who are struggling with the same thing, but making progress, doing well, so that I can draw upon their experiences, their strength, their hope. So meetings can be support groups. If you've had bariatric surgery, a bariatric surgery support group, whether it's in person, on Facebook, online, through your bariatric center, doesn't matter. Any kind of recovery meeting that is comfortable for you, where you feel comfortable being, you don't have to talk. It's being in the presence of other people who understand your struggle, and some of whom have been further along in the journey, who can offer you hope, who can offer you suggestions, who can offer you things that you can take out of there with you to use in between your times of getting support. So when I say meetings, it's support groups, it's support systems, family members, friends, anybody you can rely on to help you implement the 4 ACEs in your life. So that's one of the basics of a healthy healing program from addiction. So meetings, reading about recovery, reading about addiction, reading about healthy living, reading about how to overcome negative thinking, reading about how to improve your attitude, reading about how to maintain motivation. Any kind of positive, uplifting, affirming reading that you can do is part of a healthy program of recovery, right? This is how we heal, because it's hard when we only know what we know. We have to add additional information to what we know so we can expand our awareness, all right? So meetings, reading, sponsors, and support. By sponsors, it can be somebody who is in a healing process from another addiction or from food addiction. It can be, again, a support system within your family, within your community, within your friend circle. But again, it's places where you can go and get encouragement, where you can hear from people who have had some success in a recovery program, in healing from addictions. And that's why I say it doesn't have to be food addiction, because remember, it doesn't matter. Under the umbrella of addictions, whether it's gambling, sex, shopping, cleaning, I don't care what it is, anything that limits our living fully and gives us that compulsion and that obsession and that cravings, they can be of help, right? People who are in a recovery program or are healing from addictions, whatever it is, we're using the same tools, guys. We are all using the same tools, right? So sponsor and support, and then sharing. What I mean by sharing is doing exactly what I'm doing by doing this Facebook Live program. I'm sharing with other people my experience in addiction and recovery, my strength what I have learned about myself and about the resiliency of human beings and about the ability for many people to find healing from addictions, and my hope, my experience, my strength, and my hope. That's what we do when we are living a healthy life in recovery from addictions. We share with other people so that they can know the joy of living fully without being tethered by addictions. So let's take each one of those quickly, and we will apply the 4 ACEs. So we already did abstinence. Now we're going to do support, whether that be the sponsorship, the attending the meetings, whether it's having, a support group online. All right, awareness. Awareness is that other people help. Other people help by giving us ideas, by expanding our awareness of what can help, by expanding our awareness of what doesn't typically work. Sponsors can tell us, I know that this is especially difficult. Let me tell you what other people I know have done. Van Tile, some of these women that I have known in the recovery from food addiction programs for many years are sharing their wisdom, their experience, their strength with other people in the hopes that you all will do the same, right? So awareness that comes from support groups, support meetings, sponsors, all right? Acceptance that I need support. There's no way in the world that I would have gotten through the early years of my sobriety without the support of other people. And I had to accept what a lot of us have to accept, and that is we need help. We need to ask for help. We can't do these things on our own as much as we like to think we can, or as much as I don't like to ask for help. Well, accept that you're gonna need to. I want to just slip back to the abstinence piece for just a second, okay? Because a lot of people associate abstinence with recovery. That's not where the recovery, that's not where the healing from addiction comes from. Abstinence just means you're away from the substance. But healing is learning all the healthy ways of thinking, the ways of communicating, the ways of learning to heal that relationship with yourself, learning to have compassion, learning to have support for yourself and other people. So that's the healing part, all right? The abstinence is just a requirement to get to these later stages and these more critical stages so that you don't go back to using your substance. Okay, so acceptance, your attitude. If you're like, I don't want to need anybody else. Not a real good attitude, right? An attitude, well, this is a real fear for me, or this is taking a leap for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's a winning attitude. A willingness, right? Accountability. Guess what? On the daily forms that I've shared with you and provided links for, and it's on my website, the daily sheet reminds us that this is something you need to do every day, is reach out to your support people. Don't sit back and wait for people to call you up and hold your hand. All right? Accountability, the next A, means it's my job to ask for help. It's I called so-and-so and they weren't available and, I just gave in. No. If so-and-so's not available, I reach out to the next person and the next person and the next person and the next person until I find somebody who's got time to connect with me. And I ask for the help I need. That's the accountability with the support, all right? The commitment. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to talk to somebody every single day. I'm going to check in with them. I'm going to say, just for today, I'm being accountable just for today. I'm accepting that I need other people. And I'm making that commitment. If it's 9 p.m. and you haven't reached out, then you look at your daily sheet and you say, oh yeah, the commitment thing. I made a commitment. So what? It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to get online. Somebody's always online, right? So I'm going to follow through with the commitment I made because my attitude is I'm going to win. I'm going to heal. I'm going to live fully. All right. So That's the accountability, the commitment, and the effort. It means doing what you got to do, right? You have to put forth effort to take time out of your day, your busy schedule, your life, your kids, your job, all the other things that take up your time and your energy. I don't care. You've got to make time for yourself because it's not going to carve itself out for you. You have to value yourself enough to say, everybody, don't bother me for 15 minutes. I'm connecting with people online, or I'm calling my sponsor, or I'm spending the next 45 minutes in a meeting on intherooms.com. Whatever it is, you take the time. You've made a commitment. You put forth the effort, right? All right, so read. Read anything about healthiness. Read anything about positive self-image. Read anything about healthy communication. Read anything about how to set boundaries. Read anything about recovery. Read anything about motivation or commitment or self-talk. Anything related to healing from addiction. There's Google for everything. There are libraries that are free books. There are handouts through your bariatric center. There are handouts at 12-step meetings. You can get your hands on something to read. If you can't read, then you get somebody to read to you. There is no excuse to not find healthy things to reinforce the commitment you've made to heal from your addiction, right? Really important to read healthy things every day. If you've got a smartphone, you can download apps with healthy. I post all the time from my 2 books that I read every day. They're both put out by Hazelden, which is Hazelden, Hazelden, which is a great big treatment center. But you can buy those apps for $5. Yes, you spend $5 at fast food joints in the past and didn't even think about it. So spend this $5 because you can use the same book every day for the rest of your life. There's 365 readings, so you'll never get them memorized. All right, so every year it'll feel like a brand new reading. So that's a wise investment. It's a commitment. You put forth the effort to take care of self. All right, and then sharing, even if you think, oh my gosh, I've only been abstinent from these substances for 4 days. Guess what? You have something to offer. You get on the Food Addiction Fair and Firm support group on Facebook and you share what you've done those 4 days to remain abstinent. Somebody's on there that hasn't gotten a day of being abstinent, and they could use your support. They could use your wisdom. They could use your antidotes, what you've done to remain abstinent. So, mouthful, right? Reminder, I'll just kind of sum things up here for you. 4 ACEs and essentials. That was the topic for tonight's discussion. The 4 ACEs, which can be used in every aspect of your healing from addiction, are awareness, first step of change. Acceptance, coming to believe that, you know what, if I want what I say I want, then I got to do this. I have to accept that this is part of the deal, and then I got to do it. Attitude, accountability, meaning I got to follow through now because I said I would. Commitment, reminding yourself that I've said this is important to me. I've said this is important to me, and by God, this is important to me because I'm important to me. And then the effort. I can talk about reading great things all day long, but I have to put forth the effort to find something to read. I can talk all day long about how I'm going to exercise and make the time to meal prep, and if I don't put forth the effort, it's not going to happen. All right, self. Remember, this whole process is about healing the relationship with yourself, believing you're valuable, worthwhile, worth the effort. Because when we believe we are worthwhile, when we have compassion for ourselves, we show love to ourselves, we treat ourselves better. People who truly have self-esteem, for the most part, take good care of themselves. For the most part, say kind things about themselves. For the most part, do the things that are required to get the things they say they want. So we want to be in the category of people who value ourselves. And we value ourselves by doing things and then saying, oh, look what I did. That's kind of how this works. So healing from addiction is about learning to value yourself. How about that? All right. So the basics of recovery: abstinence is a must. Abstinence is a must so that you can get down to the process of healing. The healing comes from attending support meetings, attending meetings online, in person, with a group of friends, however you want to do that. Reading inspirational, helpful, encouraging things about life. Getting a sponsor, having somebody who's been down the road who can encourage you and is there for you. And then sharing your successes with other people. Those are the basics of healing from addictions. So, use these things. Think about them, write about them, journal about them, talk to your friends about them. Take these ideas to your support groups and share them with other people. That's what this is about. Remember, I am your recovery conscience. Remember hearing me say, use those 4 ACEs. You've got to make time. You've got to put forth the effort. Hear my voice as your recovery conscience. The bottom line is, it's your health this day and every day, because your health is your responsibility this day and every day. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for sharing this with other people you think could benefit from it. I'll see you next time. Good night.